discussions with Murray and with Rebecca and Logan. And at times over the last 3-4 months, however long this is, we've been trying to get to having a document. We've been having conversations and checking and questioning back here and there. So this, even though Murray is saying this is his work, it is his work, and he's put many, many hours into it. But that was done in conference with us. It wasn't just he himself in that, and especially getting guidance from Logan as our legal counsel to different things. And it was a lot bigger. So thank you for getting it down to what it is now in that. And really, in getting to this document, we just wanted to deal with facts as we know them, as we have the paperwork or the documentation to back up what we're saying and why we're saying what we're saying, or wanting for discussion.
I do want to comment on one thing, and that is that one issue that the Office of the Attorney General has consistently stated is that the Ethics Commission does not have any enforcement authority. And the word enforcement was the word that essentially took down House Bill 1360. But again, the Office of the Attorney General has consistently stated no enforcement authority. Well, earlier today, the Commission took actions on 2 issues. We have enforcement authority on what I call the frivolous complaint rule, and also enforcement authority in the travel disclosure rule. So from that perspective, those 2 actions answer one question that the Attorney General has. So that issue is the Attorney General stated a question, and the Commission has responded. So the issues are joined on that particular issue.
I don't know for sure. I don't remember, but I don't know if a response was requested to their comments on the complaint rules. But the annotated version that I did provide to their office pursuant to my SAG agreement. So they have a response to that as well.
I know I'm watching my colleagues here, and for those of you online, and they're trying to slowly digest all this, and it's a lot to digest. And I don't know that we need to take action today. I would like us to take action today. But given we have a new commissioner, this is heavy reading. And to make sure that as a commissioner and a part of this body, that I want to make sure that you, as my friends and colleagues on this body, this North Dakota Ethics Commission, that you do have the time to digest this and to put into the context along with all the other materials and documentations and that. So, and as much as I would like us to act on this, I also understand and realize, no, maybe here it is. And here's our side of where things are.
I'm going to suggest that we have a special meeting. It's hard to get good secretarial help these days. No, nothing against you, Addie. That was directed at her.
That's a new job duty.
I'm going to suggest that we schedule a special meeting early next week before Thanksgiving to consider this. And then
There will be a new commissioner too. This will be all new to that person.
And if it's, that's too soon, then I'd suggest after Thanksgiving. It'd be 2 weeks, which in the hopper for quite some time, so I know we want to get it done. But, you know, that can be between Cindy and Rebecca. And Murray, of course.
If I could, so yeah, I'm new on this. I have, read through it once and you've given us some highlights now. I don't think, I was not involved in all of this and I wasn't there for that journey. So I don't think I would be able to substantially edit this or make any changes to it because I just don't have that knowledge. So I do understand it's important to move it along.
What I tried to do is just bring all of the documents together to try to tell a story. So hopefully it's understandable.
Yeah, I thought it was understandable, and what I'm saying is that I don't think I could make any suggestions that would change anything.
All right. As much as I would like us to take a vote, I also concur with Commissioner Goodman, and maybe let's take a little bit more time, read more things, read it all better. Let's try to convene a special meeting next week. Because the proposed actions are needed. They're serious. In the position we're in is very awkward relative to doing our work and getting our work done. And we have to decide the best path forward. And so this is from my perspective, this is a very serious juncture relative to this response, this report, and any action we're going to take on it. So special meeting. We'll try to do it before Thanksgiving. And it'll be online. All right, do we need a motion?
I don't think we need a motion, but I think we'd probably aim for next Monday or Tuesday. We'll check with your availability after we're done today.
Okay. Moving on. We will move up to item 6 on the agenda, which is the Executive Director's Report.
I have misplaced my memo with all of the paperwork, so give me just a moment here. I just had it. Where did it go? It's done. Thank you. I got this. Yep, I had it open. Sorry. There you go, Addie. I'm not used to having the executive director report so far into the meeting. Okay, so we're going back up to item number 5, which is the executive director report. And as always, I hand it over to our operations individual, So I will hand it over to Addie to walk through our budget. She's going to give you kind of an overview of our budget. Then I'm going to give you guys a little bit more detail. You will notice that we have a budget update for both September and October. This is because the commission did not meet in October. And so we do need to provide you an update from September and then October as well. And you will notice a few changes. So Addie, when you're ready, go ahead.
Okay, so again, this is for September through the end of September 2025. Our current appropriation is sitting at 1,368,016. Our expenditures in September totaled $55,077, bringing our total expenditures for the biennium at the time was $141,699. And so then that leaves a remaining budget of $1,266,317. Moving down, our projected expenditures through the end of the biennium are at $1,189,448, leaving us with an estimated ending balance of $36,869, and this will continue to fluctuate as we move through the biennium. And that's what I have for September of 2025.
Any questions? I think we're good. Go ahead.
So Addie, if you want to move to October then.
Yep. Let me just bring that up really quick. And so then this is the update for through the end of October 2025. Again, our current appropriation is sitting at $1,368,016. Our expenditures in October totaled $44,445, bringing our total expenditures for the biennium to $186,144. That leaves a remaining budget of $1,181,872 for the biennium. And moving down, our projected expenditures through the end of the biennium are at $1,164,516. That leaves us an estimated balance of $17,356. Again, this will continue to fluctuate as we move through the biennium.
So we're going to, there is a significant, now when I say significant for an ethics commission budget, I think the legislature would refer to the money we're talking about as decimal dust. But for us, it is a significant amount of money because of our budget, the size of our budget. So you'll notice between the September budget and the October budget, the remaining or the ending balance as of June 30th, 2027 significantly dropped. It went down about approximately $18,000 to $19,000. And so the question becomes, or well, where did that come from? So I'd like to walk the commissioners through where that came from. We did not just all of a sudden lose $19,000. Where that came from is, as the commission has previously discussed, having a part-time attorney help with some of the attorney work. What we have done is in our professional fees and services, you will see that we have a remaining balance of negative $16,275. that is where that difference between the September and October budget comes from. So in the commission's overall budget, there is a professional service fee or amount of $120,000. That was the appropriation. As the commission looked at, how do we address the growing number of complaints, just the amount of complaint work that we have to do, we know that we need attorney help to do that. And so we did post that position for a temporary attorney. And so what we did here is we included in that professional fees and services calculation, we included the cost of that position. Now, you will see that's for the remainder of the biennium. And the total on that is $131,000. So it is a little bit above the estimate that we had during legislative session of 120. We also have additional SAGs and other professional services and fees that we've had to pay out, which is already subtracted from that amount. Hence, we get to that negative 16,000. So as we are calculating the commission's overall budget, we made sure to include that full amount, not just the 120,000 for professional fees and services, but how much we actually thought that was going to cost instead of that estimate. So Addie, if you want to scroll back up, you will see that the fees, professional services, legal fees, and others is now noted as $131,000. So that is the change that happened from September to October. When we had initially estimated the cost of a part-time person, we did not include the cost to provide health insurance to them. After consulting with HRMS, we know now that we can, if we choose to provide health insurance, we can do that for a part-time person. I'm not saying that the commission will do that, but we have the authorization to. So we wanted to make sure that we included in that 131,000 how much that would, that would include those healthcare, paying for that healthcare plan. And so there is a little bit of a change in our budget. I also want to remind the commission that there is an FTE, and I'm not going to probably say it correctly. Stephanie, if she was here, she would say it perfectly. There's an FTE funding pool where we can still go and get a little bit of money from that funding pool closer to the end of the biennium if we do need it. So for our purposes today, you'll see that it has dropped a little bit, but there is the explanation. And I hope that I explained that correctly. I maybe did not. Any questions?
Yes. So the commission has been sued and you have been sued, and there's a potential for other litigation. How do we pay for that?
Commissioner Sogsbean, so I want to go down to those professional fees and services. So I'm going to take us back down memory lane a little bit, and we're going to go back to legislative session. When I presented our budget to legislative session, or to the legislature, to the budget section, I had zero data to estimate litigation costs. The commission to date hadn't been sued. It was not involved in litigation. What I testified to before the legislature was that that could happen. During legislative session, there was one particular issue that there was, I wouldn't call it threatened litigation, but it was rumored a potential. However, I had no data to support making that request of the legislature. So to pay for professional fees and services, we may have to, there are two obvious options, which are not, I would guess I shouldn't call them obvious, but there are two options. One is depending on the type of litigation, how the litigation is structured. There is litigation funds in the Attorney General's budget. One of the things that we could request is to have those fees or anything come out of that. That's an option. I know that we may have to do that. The other thing is potentially going to the Emergency Commission. A third option is requesting a deficiency as we go into legislative session.
How much can, excuse me, how much can Logan do? How much can Logan do in this? You know, he can answer the complaint, I would assume, or not.
So Ron, I think we have an agenda item specific to the litigation
Okay,
that we should discuss that in, but
Right.
we've given it some thought.
all right.
Any other non-litigation questions on the budget, et cetera? Pam, I hope that this is up to your standards of, okay.
For everything you did.
We're welcome to positive feedback or constructive feedback on this.
Everything's going to fluctuate as we go on. So yeah, very nicely done.
Just Pam for they do this for us every month. It's, we know they're right on top of it. They have it down to the pennies. So, and I'm sure with your background, you appreciate all that detail. Thank you, Addie.
So next, oh, sorry, I had my mic off. Next, we have our filings and case management report. So that is going to be attachment 6 and 7 for the commission. The September case management report is attachment 6. The October one is attachment 7. So this is a snapshot that we provide on a monthly basis to provide the commission with information about our filings. What do we have going on? That sort of thing. So because we did not hold an October meeting, we have 2 of these this time. You can see the number of complaints that came in during each month in September and in October. We did see an uptick in complaints in October. Again, although Addie has September, so I probably shouldn't be talking about October yet. I apologize for that. You can see these are the different types of forms that the commission receives. All of these, and Pam, I'm giving you a little bit of a background just so to get you, I don't want to presume anything, but for complaints, quasi-judicial forms, this is where we were talking about our quasi-judicial rules earlier. Individuals are required to make disclosures. Those come in, those don't come in as frequently as general conflict of interest forms. Individuals who are public officials submit conflict of interest forms when they've managed or they've handled a conflict of interest in a decision that they've made. And so these forms, not the complaint forms, but the quasi-judicial forms, the conflict of interest forms, and the meeting notices are all available on the commission's website. And individuals go ahead and file those on the commission's website. So we have streamlined that process. You will notice that we have, as usual, meeting notices are our highest filing that we have come in every month. Meeting notices for the public's information is really those instances where an individual, a group is getting together with public officials and they are providing food or drink, but they are having a educational requirement, or excuse me, component, I should say. And so those meeting notices come in, those are required under the gifting rules that they be filed with the commission before an event. For in-state events. Should qualify that. So you can see September, you can see we have 41 pending complaints as of September. Then you also can look to October and you can see we did have quite a few, oops, sorry, Addie. Okay. So on our October filings, I did misspeak earlier and the graph is incorrect. There was only 1 complaint that came in October. Addie, we accidentally included remaining complaints that came in during November. So it was only the one. We will actually go back and adjust that form so it's correct. We did have quasi judicial forms come in and then meeting notices. So one complaint came in. The commission did not meet in October, so it was not able to settle or dismiss any complaints at that time because commission action was required. So there are currently 42 pending complaints, or there was in the month of October. And then next month we'll provide November statistics. So we will get that updated to reflect only one complaint, not 4 came in. I apologize for that. Any other questions, comments, concerns on the filings report?
Remind me, the pending complaints, it's cumulative, right? And it's also total, right? Or no?
So the pending complaints are the complaints that are pending before the commission that have not either been dismissed, settled, or resolved otherwise. So I think to date, the commission has, I'm not going to get the correct number, but around 160 complaints that have come in. And we have 42 pending as of the end of October.
So we can say that if he's 160 and we got 42 pending, that we've resolved, what, 120?
It's roughly 120. I'd have to go and pull
Yeah,
exact
yeah,
numbers.
Okay. I'm asking as a reminder about how we set this up. And so when I read it, that I'm interpreting it as I recall or remember correctly, hopefully. So, okay,
Yes, that's correct, Cindy.
thank you.
Okay, human resources update. I have a few different things that I would like to walk through on this. Specifically I have 4 items on our human resources update. So as we have discussed at previous meetings, and Commissioner Sharp, I don't mean to, I'll try to rehash things to the extent that I think they're needed. But we've discussed at previous meetings that we really have a need to get through those pending complaints. And some of them require a significant amount of work, whether that's drafting legal research, drafting questions for interviews, interrogatories, etc. But what we worked with HRMS, and we looked at the funding that the commission had available during, or what the legislative intent was behind that professional services inclusion in our budget. And so we worked with HRMS, we consulted with OMB, and what we did was create a posting for a part-time temporary attorney. That job posting did go live on October 13th, and it closed just a few weeks ago on October 31st. Logan and I conducted interviews of the candidates on November 13th. We have not made a decision on that yet. Really, we've been focused on prepping for the meeting, so this has not been a primary focus. We will probably revisit this topic as far as internally in our office, likely the first week of December after, after the week of Thanksgiving, correct? So we'll keep the commission updated on that. We did have applicants. We enjoyed interviewing and meeting them, and so we will move forward with that process. And again, as always, we are keeping HRMS apprised to how we are conducting our interviews and etc. Moving on to internships, we went ahead and posted for our summer legal interns. That was done on October 20th. It closed on November 10th. And we are going to be conducting interviews with candidates, I believe it is next week, right? Yep, Addie set those up. Most of the candidates, I shouldn't say, we had a good batch of candidates, and we look forward to interviewing those as well. So we will have an update on that for the commission as we get, hoping to get that wrapped up before Christmas. Moving on to the general counsel job description and salary discussion. So the job description for our general counsel position has been updated. Prior to the update that I did just within the last month, this position's job description has not been updated Since our general counsel was hired in 2023, I want to go back and reflect a little bit on that process back in 2023, hiring the general counsel position. When we had communications with the legislature during legislative session, that position was really going to serve as part general counsel, part educator. And so the job duties were split that way accordingly. So 30% of the job duties was providing general counsel services, 30% of it was providing, I'm going to call it complaint services or investigating and handling complaints. And then the remaining 30%, approximately, I realize that only adds up to 90%, but 33 was focused on education. With the increase in both the general counsel work as well as the complaint work, I went ahead and shifted that job description to now include or to remove the educational component of that for our general counsel. And that was based on discussions with the commission in May, June, July about education and how we really need to prioritize getting through complaint things. So I updated the job description. I worked with Jill, our HRMS representative, to get that updated. The other addition that had to be made to the job description was the supervisory role of the general counsel. Now that position will also supervise legal interns. That already happened during the last legislative session, but now will happen during the summer session and then during legislative session again, as well as that supervisor or that general counsel position will also supervise part-time attorneys or and also SAGs. So Logan is the point of contact for all of the SAGs in our office as well. So I reviewed the job description really because of all of the discussion about education. We really needed to remove that from the general counsel job description. And so we did update it, ran it by HRMS. They gave it a thumbs up. They updated it in their system. And so we are left with a new job description. With the update to that job description, I also reviewed the salary range for our general counsel position. To do that, what I did was I reviewed both the salary ranges for attorneys in the executive branch and the judicial branch. I, in full disclosure, did not go and pull legislative counsel attorney positions. I know that those are classified and handled slightly differently, so I did not request that information from legislative counsel. Based on that review, I worked with HRMS to update the salary of the general counsel position based on both the increase in the salary, or excuse me, increase in responsibilities, but also really to bring that salary in line with attorneys, the salary of attorneys in similar positions in the executive and the judicial branch. So I included for the commission's review the list that I received from HRMS outlining the executive branch attorney salaries. You can then see where our position as general counsel is listed. You can see we're not at the top. We're also not at the bottom. But it provides a good comparison. As far as the judicial branch, I did not provide that information. I did not include that in the commission's packet. They use steps, which is a little bit different, but based on those steps, I was able to calculate what a similarly situated attorney working for the judicial branch would make. And that range is approximately $124,000 to $125,000 a year. So really, if we look at the salary range of our general counsel position, it is a noticeable amount off. And so I am requesting or suggesting that we increase the salary as I've outlined, and specifically for a motion to authorize the executive director to expend the additional funds during the 25-27 session to cover that increase. So I apologize, sorry if I didn't specifically say what the change was. So it goes from approximately 91,000 to 97 per month, and it will cost the commission approximately 15,000. Oh, 9,100, sorry. Oh my goodness. That would be, we are not paying that much. Sorry, Logan.
We should be, maybe.
But I apologize for the inaccurate statement there.
I move to authorize Executive Director Binstock to expend additional funds of $15,652.82 during the 2025-2027 biennium to cover an increase to General Counsel Carpenter's salary.
Second.
There's a motion on the floor. Further questions or discussion? Hearing none. Patty, you want to call the roll?
Commissioner Sagsby,
Aye.
Commissioner Sharp,
Aye.
Vice Chair Goodman,
Aye.
and Chair Lindquist.
Aye. Thank you for all that work. I mean, oh my gosh. Rebecca did brief me when we went over the agenda items and that. I believe you all understand and realize the work effort that went into doing this analysis. And that, and then also, thank you both for the work you do as our exec director, as our legal counsel, and our operations manager. We're very small, but we're very mighty.
Yes, and Jill Mugas with HRMS helped me walk through that, and we had many discussions comparing and contrasting, et cetera. So shout out to her as well for her help always.
It's always good when looking at these things to have those I really appreciated this little spreadsheet because, oh, wow. And just to put into perspective of where we are. And I'm sure Pam, as our financial expert now, even knows us better in that, but you laid it out very well. It's very well documented. It's very well justified. So I think we did some good thing here. Thank you. All right.
So this is a fun discussion that's next, is volunteers. So this is something I believe Cindy and I have mentioned this a few times, and it is something that I can't remember who asked me to, was it you or was it Murray who asked me to look into this? I think it was maybe Murray. But we have a shortage of staffing. We have a staffing need to support the commission's education, public outreach, and really general communication needs. I will not pretend to be a communication expert. My background is in education and the legal side of things, not communications. But those are needs that the commission has. And so one of the questions that was posed to the commission is, without the legislature, because the legislature did not authorize an FTE to address this staffing need that the commission has, which we did request specifically to education and outreach, and there was a communication overlap in that job description as well. But with any future increase in filings, as we look at filings that will come in with travel disclosure rules or potentially other rules, substantive rules that the commission moves forward with in the future, we're really going to have additional staffing needs, specifically for administrative tasks on that side. So we've identified essentially two kind of staffing needs: the educational, public outreach, and communication side, and then some additional staffing needs on administrative tasks. And while our operations administrator does fantastic work, we also know that there is going to be an increase in that area, or there could be. So one method or means to meet staffing needs is to leverage volunteers. At least one other state agency does utilize the skills of volunteers to meet its staffing needs. I reached out and had, I think, probably 3 discussions. One we had a Teams meeting, and then the other one was by phone, and then another one was going back and forth by email multiple times. But we had conversations with the State Historical Society, and I really wanted to learn from them how they do it. How do they have volunteers? They have approximately between 180 and 190 volunteers that they utilize. And this is their process. I've outlined it in the memo for the commission. They have an application that volunteers can do. They submit it online, and it's very similar to a job application. The State Historical Society has job descriptions for their volunteer positions, and then they really look at the application that came in, and do any of those volunteers meet the job descriptions that they've done. Each volunteer is background checked. All of them sign a code of conduct, an ethical code of conduct, and as well as the policy on IT use, et cetera. If they don't abide by the code of conduct, they have had to remove volunteers, and they use that policy. I had a good conversation with their HR representative about how that happens. And then I also had a good conversation with their volunteer coordinator just about how that happens in practice. And they haven't had to do it a whole lot because most people are really trying to give back to the community that they are in. And they love utilizing this volunteer program. So there is a social aspect of volunteering that gives people purpose, and it is very appealing to individuals. They also talked about how there are several local colleges or even schools that require individuals to volunteer. And so that is another good source. They recommend tracking time. And this is really more for how much work are the volunteers doing, and should some of this work be done by a full-time individual. Now, I'm not saying the commission should move forward with this today. This is a primary, very introductory conversation about whether this is something the commission could utilize to meet some of those staffing needs. They did advise. Multiple people within the State Historical Society mentioned to me that one of the downsides could be is that when they do have such a strong base for volunteers, then to get funding for FTEs does seem to be an issue. Now, there also is not a guaranteed causal link between those things or a causation. It could just be that way. I mean, FTEs are difficult to get regardless, but something that they just wanted to mention. They also said, make sure that you train your volunteers, which we would certainly do. So they have a pretty good program set up. They have a volunteer coordinator, and then they have their HR representative who really works with volunteers. And they just have a large group that love to do that. And they also do it across the state, not just in Bismarck, although they do not allow remote volunteers. They did update me this week on that question. Specifically to the commission, so that's kind of a general overview of how they do that. For the commission's consideration, some of the potential tasks that we have kind of identified for volunteers is potentially helping with our website, getting our website updated and pushing out and providing social media content, or just doing social media content creation. That is something that currently falls in the lap of our operations administrator. And that's something that, because education has really taken a back seat to all of the commission's other priorities, that's similarly taken a back seat for Addie. And so that is something that we could ask of our volunteers to have short informational videos. That is something that we've talked about, that the public has asked for, where they can click on a video, they can learn about something in 3 minutes, but to have somebody who can shoot those and can produce them, or to provide information that's from a script approved by our general counsel, et cetera. So these are just some of the ideas that we've had. Creation of educational guides, and then obviously, as I said earlier, communications, and then that administrative task of filing things. Last note on the volunteer, which I'd love to hear the commission's feedback on this. I think it's certainly a possibility, something that we need to proceed cautiously with, but there may be quite a few people in our community who want to feel involved in government, but don't necessarily know how to do that nowadays. And so this may be an avenue for them to do it. There is a note on WSI coverage and coverage with risk management. If the commission chose to move in this direction, we would certainly reach out to risk management and WSI and double check and ensure that those numbers are correct. So that is all I have for volunteer discussion.
Comments or questions?
I think this is a good idea, and I would recommend as one member of the commission that the executive director cautiously proceed, as she said, cautiously proceed. So
I think it would be interesting at the COGO conference to ask other ethics commissions if they utilize volunteers and to get really kind of pick their brain on having that. Just a thought.
I'm not so sure I'm in favor. Not for the concept or idea of getting volunteers to help the work of the commission. Yeah, if we can get more citizens involved and engaged at different junctures or levels, that, yeah. But I'm like, how much work is it going to take to do this? And what's going to be the cost? Because there's cost. Even though you're getting a volunteer, especially when you mentioned the training and that. So I'm really torn. And part of being torn is I know we need help. So I want the commission to get a few more FTEs. That's the real goal. And we have really tabled or set aside anything relative to education because we're so overwhelmed with just the daily work, just the basic work of the commission and where we're at. And that is, I think, a disservice to us and to the community, to the public. But we have no choice. So that education thing, it's still there, but we can't really pursue it. So the other note I wrote down here relative to a volunteer and your point about potential tasks and the social media. Well, oh, hey, yeah, maybe could we get an influencer? A social media influencer.
Are you volunteering, Cindy?
No. No, but somebody who understands the tech side and what that is, but then somebody we train to be the ethics influencer for North Dakota, and that. So it's like, oh, gee, maybe we could have some fun too. But at the moment, I think because we've tasked you already with documenting and analyzing that need. What do we really need for staffing and how do we document that? And that to me, that takes a lot of work. And even though we've talked about, could we bring somebody in to help us do that analysis of what does the commission really need? But, and it's also somewhat reflective of then how long can we say we're a new body, we're a new entity? We're 6 years old, and we're growing and we're having serious growing pains, and there's cost to doing those types of analysis, and yet we recognize the need for the work and we're trying to accomplish the work. So I'm not sure. I'm really torn. I mean, I like the idea. I'm not against it, but then again, I'm like, it's okay. It's a nice thing. Yeah. Maybe someday when you got more time, right, Rebecca? And when are you going to have more time? I'm like, not right now. So because we've already tasked you with doing that other analysis about staffing. That to me takes priority, but that's just kind of where we're at. Maybe we could have a volunteer to do the volunteer analysis.
So I think this is a preliminary discussion, and I think it's good to have the discussion because those are real concerns about, anytime we add somebody to manage, that takes time. That takes my time as executive director. I conduct evaluations We need to make sure that they are obviously well-trained, et cetera. And it's not that we don't mind doing that, but we do have a lot of pressing issues. And so it feels like a double-edged sword.
Yes,
And hence why I'm presenting the information for a discussion purposes.
but I sure like the creativity and ingenuity. Oh yeah, why don't we think about it? And volunteers, why couldn't? The other thing I want to bring up though, that I just realized I circled this, to the point about the staffing analysis. I think if we got a couple of good volunteers, like tomorrow and 6 months or January, we got a couple of good volunteers, as we prepare for the next legislative session. Oh, well, they got a volunteer. They don't need an FTE.
So Pam, I'd love to get your perspective on that, because that's one thing that they did point out, that was a concern that they kind of, again, they didn't necessarily correlate the two, but they're like, we think
I would
it,
I would
yeah.
echo that. I mean, I think there is a big risk there with them saying, you got volunteers, you're getting the job done. We're not gonna, why would we give you an FTE? Because you've already figured out another way to do it. Yeah, I think there is a risk there. I mean, how they would actually react, both at OMB and in the legislature, I don't know. But there's a risk.
I think that's a real risk. So that's why they made sure to point it out, and I wanted to bring it to the commission.
There's also the aspect relative to the training of a volunteer and the onboarding and bringing in of a volunteer of confidentiality and the work of the commission. And I think with having an FTE, they're in the structure for that to be controlled, maintained, articulated. Whereas, do we have that same authority or right over a volunteer?
So Cindy, that's a good question. Two things. One, none of the tasks that we've identified for volunteers would involve confidential information. So that was something that right away, I didn't even entertain that as an option. Also because a lot of that is heavy legal work that we leave to our general counsel and then the SAGs that are similarly appointed, right? So that did not fall into the potential tasks that we had kind of brainstormed for volunteers. But under the code of ethics that they would be signing, and what we would make sure if there was anything with confidentiality, what right now the State Historical Society is working through is actually ensuring that they have the volunteers sign, that they know that they may be working with their information isn't confidential, but it's maybe more sensitive in nature. Murray, maybe you have more information on what you would call that, but they do have volunteers acknowledge that and then agree to handle it appropriately. So, but nothing that we would be doing would be having them exposed to confidential information. So yes, that is a very valid concern as well.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Okay, can move on to the audit update.
Yep, this is going to be super short. We've provided the auditor's office with everything that they asked to conduct testing. Everything is done as far as the audit is concerned, except for a few ACFR reports and final steps that need to happen with that, and that will happen around the middle of December. And so we will update accordingly at that time if there is any changes or anything.
Any concerns or worries or?
They have,
Yeah,
they haven't expressed anything to us, but it certainly is not final, but nothing that made me lose sleep at night. I don't know how else to say that. So no, we've always enjoyed working with the auditor's office. And so that dynamic, we've really had to work with them very articulately because we oversee the auditor and the auditor oversees us. And so we have that reciprocal oversight. And we have had many conversations about how other ethics commissions and other auditors' offices handle that. And we've proceeded with what we think is that both of our offices have agreed is a good protocol. So that's been a productive discussion that we've had with them. Okay, Kogel. The annual Kogel conference is very quickly approaching. So at this time, we have 5 individuals registered. That's still correct, Addie, right? Okay, 5 individuals. I believe that we had 6 prior to last week, but Commissioner or Chair Lindquist is no longer able to attend. So the individuals who we have registered are Commissioner Sharp and Sogsbean, and then as well as myself, General Counsel Carpenter, and then our Operations Administrator, Mose. So that is who is attending. Just a reminder, I've already talked about this at previous meetings. I will be presenting as part of the Campaign Legal Center's session, panel discussion. It's now looking like it may be a plenary session, but this is part of their annual threat assessment to ethics commissions. They reached out to us a few months ago. We met with them, and I have been doing some prep sessions with them as well. And so we will be commenting, or I will be presenting as part of their panel. We have also been asked to participate in another panel discussion. And at this time, I reached out to them and I really told them I don't think we have anything to add. It was about lobbyist regulation. And their perspective was that we are a new entity and that perhaps we have something to add. But that's not something that the commission has. It has its gift rules, but beyond that, there isn't a whole lot of rules related to lobbyist regulation. So I did kind of step aside from that particular one. But that, if there is questions on Kogel, certainly let us know. I think Addie is working on getting flights booked in the next day or 2 here, and we can coordinate with the commissioners to make sure that everybody has flights that work for their schedules. And that concludes my executive director report.
Any comments or questions? Good. Other than, I'm greatly disappointed that I can't go. I was really looking forward to it, and unfortunately, my job requires me to be here in North Dakota.
Yeah.
So our next order of business is going to be to go into an executive session, and I think prior to going into exec session, let's take a 5-10 minute break, recess. So I have 1:55 p.m. We will reconvene at 2:05. We are back in session for the North Ethics Commission. And we are now item 9. Next items on the agenda are complaint numbers. 23-1014, 24-013, 24-015, 20-026, 24-030, 24-033, 24-041, 059, 5-071, and 072. These items must be discussed in executive session. The legal authority for closing this portion of the meeting is North Dakota Century Code sections 54-66-12 subsection 1, 54-66-12 subsection 3, and 40-19.2 subsection 1. The topic or purpose of this executive session is discussion on complaints. Information regarding the content and parties to the Ethics Commission complaint is confidential. As a complaint must be discussed in executive session, no motion is needed to enter into exec session. The executive session will be recorded, and all members of the governing body are reminded to limit their discussion during the exec session to the announced topic. Any collective decision, collective commitment, or other final action by the governing body must occur after it reconvenes in an open session. On taking final action during the executive session does not apply to providing or instruction to our attorney. We will now ask members of the public who are attending the meeting to leave the meeting. We anticipate adjourning the executive session now at 2:15 p.m. and reconvening at 2:45 PM, our best guesstimate. So we will now adjourn the public portion of the meeting to go into executive session. Minutes will show that the executive session was adjourned at approximately 2:51 PM. Public has been invited to return to the meeting. We are now back in open session. This time I will entertain motions.
I move to direct commission staff to proceed as directed during the executive session on complaint numbers 20-013-01.
We have a motion on the floor. Motion?
Discussion.
Oh.
It's
Oh,
kind of-
never mind. Sorry, I didn't mean that.
It's such an instinctual thing to do, though.
And we do roll call vote.
Commissioner Stagsby,
Aye.
Commissioner Sharp,
Aye.
Vice Chair Goodman,
Aye.
and Chair Lindquist.
Aye.
I'll move.
Yeah, and 6 and
There, Pam.
together.
It's 1:10.
Motion to summarily dismiss 20-02. Being insufficient to.
Have a motion?
Second.
Addie, you want to call the roll?
Commissioner Stagsby,
Aye.
Commissioner Sharp,
Aye.
Vice Chair Goodman,
Aye.
and Chair Lindquist.
Aye. Next motion?
Dismiss complaint. Oh. And
I'll second.
Call the roll?
Commissioner Stagsby,
Aye.
Commissioner Sharp,
Aye.
Vice Chair Goodman,
aye.
and Chair Lindquist.
Aye. Next motion?
I will move that we dismiss case number lack of personal jurisdiction.
Second.
Call the roll?
Commissioner Stagsby,
Aye.
Commissioner Sharp,
Aye.
Vice Chair Goodman,
Aye.
and Chair Lindquist.
Aye.
I move to direct Executive Director Benstock to summarily dismiss complaint number 25-059 for lack of subject matter jurisdiction.
I will second.
Call the roll?
Commissioner Stagsby,
Aye.
Commissioner Sharp,
Aye.
Vice Chair Goodman,
Aye.
and Chair Lindquist.
Aye.
I'll make a motion to summarily dismiss complaint 25072 for lack of personal jurisdiction.
Second.
Call the roll?
Commissioner Stagsby,
Aye.
Commissioner Sharp,
Aye.
Vice Chair Goodman,
Aye.
and Chair Lindquist.
Aye. Logan, do we need to note 25-071?
No, there's no action item on it, so it'll be pending until we have an update at the
Okay,
next meeting.
okay, thank you.
I move to enter executive session for attorney consultation regarding the matter of Citizens Alliance of North Dakota and others et al. Versus Wrigley et al. 125 CV 256 in the District of North Dakota in 2025 pursuant to and potential litigation involving continuation of Commissioner Sogsbean's position pursuant to North Dakota Century Code Sections 4404 19.1 and 4404 19.2.
Second that.
We'll need a roll on this one.
Okay, roll call vote.
Commissioner Sagsby,
Aye.
Commissioner Sharp,
Aye.
Vice Chair Goodman,
Aye.
and Chair Lindquist.
Aye. Okay. Where do I start? The commission has adopted a motion to enter executive session for discussion of agenda item number 10, discussion of Citizens Alliance of North Dakota 8L, the Wrigley 8L, as well as other attorney consultation regarding Commissioner Sagsbean's service. This portion of the meeting will be closed to the public for executive session pursuant to North Dakota Century Code 44-04-19.1 and 44-04-19.2. The executive session will be recorded, and all members of the governing body are reminded to limit their discussion during the executive session to the announced topic. Any collective decision, collective commitment, or other final action by the governing body must occur after it reconvenes in an open meeting. The prohibition on taking final action during the executive session does not apply to providing guidance or instructions to our attorney. We will now ask the members of the public who are attending the meeting to leave the meeting. We anticipate adjourning the executive session and reconvening the open portion of the meeting at approximately
I'd give it an hour, Cindy.
4 p.m. The minutes will show that the executive session began at approximately 3 p.m. and was attended by all 4 commissioners and Executive Director Binstock, Attorney Logan Carpenter, and Administrative Manager Addie Moose. We are back to open session for the North Dakota Ethics Commission. And the minutes will show that the executive session was adjourned at approximately 4:09 p.m. The public has been invited to return to the meeting. We are now back in open session. At this time, I will entertain any motions.
Motion to direct. So. Executive stock. Capacity. Staff. Side count. With.
Second that.
We have a motion. Addie, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Sagsby,
Abstain.
Commissioner Sharp,
Aye.
Vice Chair Goodman, and Chair Lindquist.
Aye.
We'll have another motion. Motion carried.
Yes, motion carries.
I also have another motion to request funds from the Action Fund. Commission's costs.
I second.
Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Sagsveen,
Abstain.
Commissioner Sharp,
Aye.
Vice Chair Goodman,
Aye.
and Chair Lindquist.
Aye. Motion carries. And I believe we had no other motions. So we will return to our agenda. And the next item on the agenda is the 26 meeting dates as proposed by our staff. I think we can look at these and look at your calendars and make a decision on these dates at our next meeting.
Sorry, if we could, just for public purpose, having it up and the public well informed, if we could at least make a decision on January, that would be much appreciated. Because otherwise we're cutting it kind of close, just to make sure that the public is aware.
Conflicts on January. Did I check?
I can make either one of those work. I have it. I can schedule around.
And I think I have faculty staff meeting on the 21st. I think I'll probably need to prefer the 21st or the 28th.
I'm here either day or
Plan for January 28th. And our December meeting is the 17th. So we have those two scheduled. And at our December meeting, we will try to set the dates at least 6 months out. Everybody look at your calendars. The other item I want to make note of is in session today, before or when we started this morning, I was hand delivered a letter. And the contents of the letter are regarding having public comment during our meetings. And I did tell this person that we actually discussed that at our September meeting, and we actually included a session at our September meeting when we were at the law school. And so we did have a public session, and yes, we intend to do that. For all our meetings, the ones online and when we do meet in person, to have some session or someplace on our agenda, a point in time for public comments.
Yep, that's good.
And I did thank Mrs. Slatton for bringing this forward. Any further business?
Yeah, I was gonna come back to Addie. They're all the complaints I got. No, not this one.
All right, no further business.
This.
I will adjourn the meeting of the North Dakota Ethics Commission at 4:15 p.m. Thank you so much.